So here's the question for today. Among this man's deeds was the nationalization of the Azhar University. Early in his political career, he attempted to assassinate Muhammad Siri Pasha. He served as the second Secretary General of the Non-Aligned Movement. As a member of the Free Officers, he opposed the execution of his country's overthrown monarch and later took power from Muhammad Naguib. Involved in the overthrow of King Farouk, this man also established the United Arab Republic, oversaw construction of the Aswan High Dam, and nationalized the Suez Canal. For 10 points, name this president of Egypt during the Six-Day War who was succeeded by Anwar Sadat. Obviously, the answer over here is Gamal Abdel Nassar. So now let's go over the question analysis. Using the color code for the different urgency of clues, we can highlight the entire question and look at which are the clues that you're really supposed to get the question at. So in green, these are the harder clues. In the yellow ones, these are slightly easier. Orange ones are where high-level students often get the question, and the red ones are the easier clues where you're supposed to get the question and answer directly. So starting from this first clue, that this man's deed was the nationalization of the Azhar University. So from the pronunciation of Azhar, you can already interpret that this man probably has something to do with Islam, or at least is a citizen of an Islamic country, maybe in the Middle East. And when you think about that, nationalization, you can connect that to countries that have undergone nationalization in the Middle East. One of the most famous examples is, of course, Egypt, so you can already be looking at the right direction. So next, looking at the second clue, we know that he attempted to assassinate a man called Muhammad Siri Pasha. So if you know the history behind Pasha and the Free Officers and Muhammad Naguib, you can connect all three of these clues together to find the answer, which is Gamal Nassar. We know that the Free Officers were a group of revolutionary Egyptian nationalist officers in the armed forces that instigated the revolution of 1952. This movement actually utilized the hero image of Muhammad Naguib in order to overthrow King Farouk in the revolution. Siri Pasha, which was mentioned in the question, was appointed to the post of war minister by King Farouk before the revolution in order to keep potential disloyalty within the armed forces in check. However, an assassination attempt was made against Pasha by members of the Free Officers, including future President Gamal Abdel Nassar in January of 1952, but in the end, the attempt did fail. Next, on to the clue that he served as a secondary Secretary General of the Non-Aligned Movement. So we know that the Non-Aligned Movement originated in the 1950s as an effort by some countries to avoid the polarized world of the Cold War between the pro-Soviet communist countries belonging to the Warsaw Pact and the pro-American capitalist countries belonging to NATO. Joseph Tito of Yugoslavia acted as its first chair, and our man in question, Nassar, acted as the second chair. Now onto the clues of the construction of the Aswan High Dam and the nationalization of the Suez Canal. Both of these two things are major features of Nassar's regime within Egypt, and these are the two clues that you really need to know in order to get this question at the end. So for the Aswan High Dam, it was the world's largest embankment dam, which was built across the Nile in Aswan, Egypt by Nassar after the Egyptian Revolution of 1952. You just have to remember this dam, and for those of you who are good at geography, this should be easy. For the second clue about the nationalization of the Suez Canal, it had a huge impact because it provoked the Suez Crisis, also called the Sinai War in Israel, which was an invasion of Egypt in late 1956 by Israel, followed by the United Kingdom and France. Their aims were to regain control of the Suez Canal for Western powers after its nationalization. However, after the fighting started, political pressures from the US, the Soviet Union, and the UN led to the withdrawal by the three invaders, and this episode only made to humiliate the United Kingdom and France and strengthen Nassar's power within his country. And finally, the last clue, which is that the president of Egypt during the Six-Day War. So now that you have gotten the clue of Egypt, you can use all the clues before in order to arrive at Nassar, or to use the Six-Day War, which we know was an armed conflict between an Israel and Arab coalition, which comprised of Jordan, Syria, UAR, and Egypt. So knowing these clues, you'll be able to get this question, and I will see you next week.